Before we get started, I just want to mention that the purpose of this video is to either inspire someone to make their own server, similar idea to mine, or to find a group of passionate people to help me craft this dream RedM server. If any of you are interested in making this type of server, please let me know on the comment section below, and I'll eventually start working on a Discord server. If you're interested in more Crimson Desert content, there will be more Crimson Desert content coming out later on. I just really wanted to release this video, since this thought has been bothering me and sitting in the back of my head for a while now. Anyways, let's get back to the video and enjoy the show. It's no secret that the Red Dead roleplayers hasn't had the best reputation.
Oh my goodness.
With the constant moderation and admins handing out bans left and right as if they were a piece of candy, where a lot of people have started to see Red Dead RP or Red Dead in general in a negative light. If you look up Red Dead roleplay or even just the word RedM, most of what you'll find are these trolling videos of these servers. And honestly, I can't really blame them. It doesn't help the fact that many server owners, high-ranking staff, or hell, even deputies often fall right into their stereotype, which only makes the overall experience worse.
Pardon?
Alright, that's enough.
I've been on and off playing RedM, mostly just sticking to 2 servers. Unfortunately, one of those servers completely killed my interest in playing RedM or hell, even Red Dead Online in general. My biggest issue is that the moderators and admins often ruin the experience by overstepping and just taking the fun out of the game. There are endless pages of rules you constantly have to keep in mind, and you're expected to always have a recording software running in the background in case someone is falsely reporting you. Nothing breaks immersion more than being teleported into a SID or suddenly receiving a message saying you have been banned for the most dumbest reason ever.
Citizens aren't supposed to have guns.
Admins aren't supposed to suck dicks. Oh no. Oh, oh fuck.
For example, I once wore a banjo over my head and that was considered prop blocking, and just like that, month worth of progress just gone. And the second big issue with Red Dead Online is how it's designed. Honestly, it feels like the most tedious and annoying thing to play. Playing too well actually punishes you. There are only a handful ways to make money, and most of the fun content is locked behind gold currency, which is usually super grindy to get. And on top of that, you're constantly dealing with cooldowns and timers. So I started thinking, what if you combine the Red Dead Online experience with roleplay and turn it its own thing? Maybe even sprinkle in some light RPG system, something where your character doesn't just start off skilled, but instead needs to grow over time, sort of like how Kingdom Come does it. Now, if you played those games, then you'll know that the protagonist Henry starts off weak, unskilled, and clumsy. But as you use different abilities, they improve. Like using strength, it will go up from fighting and carrying heavy loads, while agility goes up from dodging and using archery, and vitality from running and taking hits. And then we have speed that goes up when persuading people in dialogue. Every stat ties into the skill, like swordsmanship, lockpicking, or reading, and those level up from where you practice them. It feels natural, like your character is actually learning alongside you. That's the kind of system I would love to see in this more RPG focused server. For example, it should take time and practice to get good with guns.
Die, you motherfucker!
You would not be able to start off as a sharpshooter at first. There also wouldn't be any reticles when aiming in third person, and your aim would shake if you hold the gun too long. So you would actually have to really rely on using the iron sight at the beginning. As you practice, whether in target shooting, fighting bandits, or clashing with other players, your aim would get steadier, shot more accurate, and eventually you'd unlock the ability to use reticle again. Not only would this make progression more immersive, but it also stopped trolls from just jumping in and instantly go on a killing spree. They'd struggle at first, unless they actually put in the effort, which naturally reduces the heavy need of admin policing. And it wouldn't just apply to combat, stat would cover everything, from hunting, cooking, first aid, blacksmithing, and more. The more you do something, the better you get at it. That could mean crafting higher quality gear, unlocking new recipes, or even gaining access to exclusive items. For whatever reason, it seems that the RedM RP server have thrown away the actual open world aspect from both single player and the online mode. There's very little reason to go out and explore the land. Server usually just want you to visit set few locations marked on your map. Even the places you can interact or explore often feels empty or without any value. You can't really loot or pick out anything there. Instead, I'd rather see exploration made worthwhile, where venturing into the world lets you discover fun and rewarding ways to collect different treasures. Being an adventurer should be a fun and a valid way to make money. Map expansion should also play a big role, whether by adding the Mexico region with the new location to visit, or expanding the areas like the Coulter, where you venture deeper into the snow and face survival challenges like hypothermia, snowstorm, and blizzards, or risk getting lost into the freezing wilderness. Or perhaps there could be a new area hidden deep within the forest. There, you'd stumble upon an abandoned town where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Empty street echoes with eerie stillness. The place seems alive, twisting itself to reflect the deepest fear and guilt to those who wander in. Every step feels like a descent into a personal hell, where the only escape may lie facing what you fear the most. Who knows what horror you'll find in there? Is the risk worth it, or will you succumb to its terror? Interesting point of interest and treasure hunting aren't the only things that the open world will have to offer. There will also be various bandit camps and fortresses scattered across the county, each with different level of difficulties. Clearing them can reward you with treasure, money, gold, or even blueprints for different things, ranging from clothing, weapons, upgrades, and more. These blueprints could be sold to your local gunsmith, blacksmith, or tailor. In return, those players could use them to craft a wide variety of items. Quests and random encounters will also return to this server, similar how they work in Red Dead Online. Quest giver NPCs would be scattered all over the map, and it'd be up to you to find them. Once you're close enough, a little exclamation icon would appear on your map, letting you know that you can interact with them. These NPCs could offer a variety of tasks, such as retrieving a set item, clearing a bandit camp or a fortress, or doing a smaller job for them. The reward could vary between money, different type of items, or food. On top of that, every quest would grant some form of a stat XP depending on the type of job you took. Most of those quests would be repeatable, but the quest giver location would be randomized to prevent players from over gamifying the system. Ideally, I'd love to add more complex style of quests, the ones with voice dialogue, different outcome, branching choices. But unfortunately, I don't think RedM can handle that kind of system, at least not yet. While this server will have your standard RedM jobs, such as blacksmith, rancher, horse trainer, gunsmith, deputy, and so on, the ones we've seen in pretty much every most RedM server, what I instead would like to do is expand job system for those who want more action-packed experience, like being a mercenary or gun for hire. I'd also expand the criminal system in this game. You'd be able to break into shops or even houses, where you can steal goods before you get seen or reported to the authorities. There would also of course be the classic like the store and bank heist, certain friendly forts you could raid for their goods and treasure, and more criminal based jobs such as being a hitman for hire. That role would function similar to how deputies and bounty hunter works, but you'd increase your rank depending on how many jobs you complete, either by killing important NPC targets or by taking in specific player targets. There would also be other criminal based activities like selling contraband, grave robbing, and much more. And we have the good path. These would have much higher standards to achieve, such as becoming a mayor, a high-ranking official, doctor, bounty hunter, and of course deputy. These type of jobs would focus heavily on roleplay, since these roles are meant to be taken seriously. For example, to become a deputy and prevent players from power tripping.
You just let him go. Well, mate, look, I wouldn't have any attitude if I was you.
What's the matter?
I said, we don't need the attitude, thank you. You're safe, so...
Do your job. Go chase them.
Hey, if you're not required in the foot chase, this guy's got a bit of attitude. Can I have you put a gun on him while I cut him free, please?
Put a gun on me. I'm a hostage.
Yeah, well, pull your head in, mate. What's your name, sir?
I took a really hard fall. I'm a little foggy at the moment.
So what's your name?
I took a really hard fall. I can't quite remember.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. We're gonna walk down there, right? And we're gonna get you to register.
I've kind of just had a bit of a traumatic day today. I think I'm just...
We are sheriffs, and we are going to help you find your name. You can either do that or you can spend a night in the cell, so let's go.
I'm a hostage and you're threatening to arrest me?
Oh, look, mate, fucking honestly, what do you think we fucking deal with every day? Cut the bullshit and do as you're fucking told.
What's going on?
This guy's been a fucking arsehole, that's what's going on.
There would be training and requirements. Deputies should always have patience, be able to stay calm during tough and harsh situations, and not lash out just because someone insults you or acts unreasonable. If you think your job as a deputy is just to sit down all day in your porch doing absolutely nothing and then cry to the admins or moderators of the smallest inconvenience, then this job is not for you. This role would likely be one of the most dangerous of them all. You'd be expected to see a lot of action, chaos, and again, you're meant to be the good guys of this county, the peacekeepers, so to speak. So always strive to be positive, have good manners, and treat everyone with respect. Whether they look rich, suspicious, or just crawl out of the pig pen, just show the same amount of courtesy and respect. Since deputies would be actively keeping the town and villagers safe, I think it's only fair that they'll receive a small passive XP. Things like marksmanship, stamina, health, hand-to-hand combat, the essential core to the combat stat. Of course, this would be nowhere near the same as if you were actively leveling the stat yourself, but just a small bonus. This would of course only apply when they're actually clocked in. Now here I've been thinking that there would be 3 different type of doctor jobs that you could take on. First, you'd have your regular doctor, who is your standard government issued doctors. These doctors will get paid in salary, similar to how deputies will get paid, and they can rise in ranks depending on how well they're doing, how active they are, and how many patients they have treated. They'd also get some form of a passive XP when it comes to first aid based skills. Finally, we have the barbers, who are more of a criminal-based doctors. But unlike the other doctors who aren't allowed to engage in criminal activities, however, these quote-unquote doctors can be especially valuable when it comes to treating other criminals or bringing them with you when doing heist or criminal-based activities. Oh, and another thing, I did forget to mention the shamans. While they may not get necessarily paid in salary, every time they do actually treat someone, they do earn some form of income. But what's so special about them is that they can grow certain mushrooms, and then craft potion or drugs that grant players temporary buffs or debuff depending on what they created. My favorite role to play in Red Dead Online and Red Dead RP has always been the bounty hunter. I mostly stuck to the server that offer both PvP and PvP content for that, but sadly most of them were lackluster. They usually only offer 3 types of job with very little variations. For example, one of the missions was to escort a client to safety, but some servers don't even let you use your horse or wagon to transport them. But you had to do it all on foot, and you can probably imagine how frustrating that can get with all the bad pathfinding and so on. Basically, it turned into every annoying escort mission you can think of. The second type of mission you would get would be kill all targets. While it does sound interesting on paper, it's ruined with one simple thing. You have to carry every single body to a wagon you had to buy with your own money. On top of that, it's super expensive to buy too. Now, imagine doing that with over 25 to 40 bodies. On top of that, the bodies have very little value, and sometimes doesn't even register properly when you try to bury them, and overall you end up making no profit. Honestly, this mission feels more of a mercenary work or even an undertaker job, not bounty hunting. So instead, I'd rather focus on 2 main PvE jobs for bounty hunters. Locate a target either by killing them or capturing them alive. Obviously bringing them alive would reward you more money and XP for your role. Then we have the kill all mission, but this time, once you clear the area, the mission is completed. No more lugging bodies into wagon or gravesite. That sort of task is better suited for undertakers. Eventually, the higher rank you achieve, the harder mission you'll unlock with better payouts, and eventually you'll have the access to legendary bounties. It's very similar to Red Dead Online. These would act more of a boss fight, making them more exciting and memorable. Now, as for the PvP aspect, I can imagine this server being way more chaotic than most other RP servers, which means there would naturally be a lot more player bounties. And I actually want to do it so hunting players is an actual fun thing to do, and not just some messy guessing game. So here's how it would work. You'd go to a wanted poster which shows all active bounties for players currently online. Once you take the wanted poster, it gives you a large blip where the current player is located at. Not exact pinpoint, but a general area. Once you get there, you'd use your survival sense, similar to animal tracking, to pick up clues like footprints or other trails. Eventually, you'd be able to identify the target, who will be highlighted when using your survival sense. Your job as a bounty hunter should always try to capture them alive first. Only if the target fights back is when you should use your lethal force. And to become a bounty hunter, you would have to join one of the 3 guilds: the good, the bad, and the neutrals. Starting off with the bad bounty hunters, who would wear red coat to symbolize their chaotic playstyle. These bounty hunters can commit crimes, sell contraband, and still not lose their job. But because of this, they'd be seen as dishonorable, and deputies or sheriff wouldn't want to cooperate with them. Then we have the neutral bounty hunters, who wear all in black outfits. Their reputation would depend entirely on the player's actions. They could choose to be more criminal or more cooperative, and deputies would judge them based on their past deeds, whatever if it's good or bad. Then we have the good bounty hunters, who would wear all white outfits. They'd be the more peacekeeper of the bunch, always trusted to help people in need and work with the deputies. For whatever reason they're caught committing crimes, they'd be immediately fired from the guild. The Wild West is supposed to be a dangerous, unpredictable, and immersive. I truly believe you can have a strong roleplay experience and still enjoy the game without overbearing admin interference. That's why I've been thinking about a more engaging and fair punishment system. One that doesn't rely on admin abusing power or handing out bans for tribal issues. So here's the pitch. Introducing perma-death system for players who constantly breaks the rule and be mostly focused on the very violent ones. For example, by killing a deputy or doctors without any valid reason. Only the higher ranking figures such as the sheriff or the governors would have the authority to carry out these perma-deaths. The system would work on a 2-strike basis. After 2 offenses, the player would be branded, while they'll receive a visible debuff that signals that their next major crime will result in their next death being permanently. If caught while branded, the player would face one of 2 outcomes: either execution by hanging or a firing squad. These events will be public, allowing other players to watch or even participate, creating a more immersive moment for the entire community. There would also be an option for other players to rescue the branded player before their execution. However, anyone who would help would automatically receive the high bounty, and if they're captured, they too would face permadeath. This system would add real stake to RedM roleplay and keep things immersive, and remove the need for heavy-handed bans that ruin player progress. Now, just to clarify, a permadeath wouldn't mean getting banned from the server, but instead the character would be permanently deleted. And to prevent people from creating alt characters and avoid the consequences, there will be a 1-week cooldown per character slot. For example, when you first join the server, you'd only have access to a single character slot. After a week of play, another slot would be unlocked, and so on. This would create a real weight behind your choices, while still allowing players to eventually build multiple characters over time. Hey guys, a quick little disclaimer here. Since my dumbass forgot to mention this, obviously, once you do get the first strike or 2, you can still pay a fine to get rid of those strikes from your record. Keep in mind, it'll get more and more expensive the more often you do it. So, it would start off with $500, but it would double up each time you do it, so it'd go from $500 to $1,000 to $2,000 and so on. With this in place, jobs like being a deputy would be far more meaningful instead of players on porch all day doing nothing. We'd see more dynamic opportunities like bounty hunting and a wider variety of authentic player-driven stories. It would encourage real organic roleplay rather than the scripted or overly restricted scenarios many servers currently enforce. Here's another important aspect. This server concept will be completely free of pay-to-win mechanics. No one would be able to spend real money for advantages, like buying improperly unfairly, or create overpowered item like drugs. Everything you can see in-game will be earned via in-game mechanics. As for the administration and moderation, the only time admins or moderators should step in would be in obvious cases, like cheating or exploiting or using modding tools. Beyond that, maintaining law and order would be entirely up for the government and the deputies. Anyways, that's it. We're at the end of the video. I do have more ideas to expand on later on, but for now I'd like to hear what you people think of this concept, and whether or not you guys be interested in building such server or something similar to it. Until then, I'll see you guys later.